In this video, I want to talk through very specifically how therapists are using quizzes to increase their client onboarding, getting more clients for their business. My name is Josh. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Interact Quizmaker. We've been doing quizzes for 11 years now. We've helped thousands and thousands of small businesses increase their client onboarding and get more customers using the power of quizzes. The thing about quizzes is I'm going to use this example on this website from Morgan Pommel's. Morgan is a therapist, and she has two quizzes on her site. They're under this heading called Learn About You. And the secret of quizzes and the reason why they work so well is that you help your clients or potential clients learn about themselves. And when you help someone learn about themselves, then you can figure out how you can fit in and be helpful to them in the future. If you've been in therapy for a long time, or you've been a therapist for a long time, you probably know that most people come to you with a specific issue. Or I would at least assume that's the case in talking to lots of therapists over the years who use Interact. That's what they usually say. So they'll say something like, everybody comes to me wanting to work on productivity, or they have anxiety, or they just can't get over intrusive thoughts. Whatever it is, they come in and they have one specific issue. Now, you know, as a therapist, that there's a lot more going on than just like, oh, you need to change this one little thing, and then all of a sudden you'll not be anxious anymore. Obviously, that's not the case. But people just want to know, why am I experiencing what I'm experiencing? Why am I feeling what I'm feeling? Why am I going through what I'm going through? And you, as the therapist and running your business, you know what those things are that bring people to you. You know the general categories of things that drive people to seek you out. And you know the questions that people typically come in with when they're coming to you. Now, the best quizzes address those questions. The best quizzes will go right at it. They'll say, it'll literally phrase the question that people ask you as a quiz title. And then as you go through the questions and you identify what are the potential solutions that you could offer, you then drive the person towards a consultation. And then you can also use the quiz to ask for an email address if somebody's not ready for a consultation right now, but you do want them on your email list to warm them up for later. So I'm going to walk you through a couple examples of therapists using quizzes in different ways, but always for the same goal of increasing consultations, so increasing new clients, and then also gathering email addresses. That's an optional one. Not everybody has that in their bag to do email marketing. And if you don't, that's okay. You can just drive straight to a consultation. All right, so let's go through this one from Morgan Pommel's. I want to show you from the beginning how this works. You can access her quizzes either from her website. So if you scroll down on the website, you go through some of these sections, you see this Learn About You, and there's two quizzes here. I also want to show you her Instagram, because under the link in bio here, you click on the link tree, and these quizzes are also here. Take the quiz, and then another one, take the quiz. So you can access them from either location, and these are the two places where people go when they want to seek out and learn more about Morgan, and the quizzes are right there if somebody's curious to take them. Now, again, I just think that her framing here is really smart. Learn about you. Everybody wants to learn about themselves. That's kind of the premise of being human. We all kind of want to know more about who we are. And these quizzes really identify that. But they also identify aspects of learning that are related to what Morgan does and the type of therapy that she offers. So in this case, it's dealing with parents who were immature or emotionally immature. So identify your parent's immaturity type, discover the specific type of emotional immaturity your parent exhibited, and how it has shaped your experience. So I could imagine that a lot of Morgan's clients probably come to her saying, I know that my parents were emotionally immature. I don't really know how that's affected me, but I know it is affecting me. And this quiz says, hey, I can answer that question of how is it affecting you in an automated way using the quiz, and it runs 24/7. So if you're scrolling at night, not that anybody actually does that, but if you're scrolling at night and you see Morgan's profile come up on Instagram, you come across her website because you're Googling something and you find something that she wrote about it, you will land on these quizzes and you're like, oh, I would like to know that. So let's click on it, click Find Out Now. Takes you to a really nice cover page. You can see right away from this image that it just kind of represents somebody that's thinking. Maybe they're confused, maybe they have questions. And the title is, what type of emotionally immature parent do you have? That fits perfectly into one of our ideal title formats. One of the ideal title formats is, what type of blank do you have or are you? And it's a really good title because it helps the person learn about themselves, and it promises the person that they are going to get to learn about themselves, which is what everybody wants. Now, there's also a really good description here, because you can imagine somebody's taking this quiz. They want to know, does the person who created this quiz know what they're talking about? And I think that's something that you can really answer with this description here, because you can explain that you know what this topic is about. You know how to explain it to people. You know how it affects them. So this says emotionally immature parents, EIPs, are unable to provide consistent emotional support, often displaying behaviors such as emotional volatility, neglect, or excessive criticism. This quiz will help you identify which subtype of emotionally immature parent you may have had, be it the emotional, passive, driven, or rejecting parent. Armed with this knowledge, you'll be better equipped to navigate your relationship with them and address your own specific emotional wounds. So in that description, not only am I reassured that Morgan knows a lot about this topic, because it's really addressing things that I would be thinking about if I knew I had an emotional immature parent. And then it also tells you a little preview of what the results might be that you could get and why it's helpful to you to get those results, so you'll be better equipped to navigate your relationship. Let's start the quiz and look at this. First thing that she does is just says, you understand that this quiz is not a diagnostic tool. It's not medical advice nor a diagnosis. This quiz is merely for educational purposes only. That's great. You can choose to understand and continue, or you can say, no, I would like to exit. We'll understand and continue so we can get educated. Next question, how would you describe your parents' reaction when you face minor personal issues as a child? This is a good question because it demonstrates that she understands the experience of somebody who had an emotionally immature parent. They know that as a child, they experienced their parents in ways that were not always helpful, and these are the options that may have come up. So they were busy striving for perfection and lacked empathy. They often became overly anxious and relied on others. They were laid back, brushing off everything as minor. They showed little interest and would isolate themselves. If they did come around, they would be commanding. Now, I also like that all the options are presented here in a way that feels approachable. Like, it's not overwhelming, it's not overly jargony, it's very down to earth, and it gives you options to pick from. This is something that's really big about quizzes, that differentiates them from forms, which is what a lot of people do use for onboarding like this. With the quiz, you're able to give people options to choose from rather than making them think about, like, oh, I don't know how they reacted, let me think. The problem with that is when you give people that time to stop and think, more than likely they're going to say, oh, I got to think about that, I'll come back later. Now, do they come back later? No. That's the short answer. Not usually. People, when they see something that's interesting to them, even if it's the right fit, even if it's like, oh, this would really be helpful to me, there's just too much going on. And if we don't follow through in the moment, we're likely to just never follow through. And so giving people these options to just pick from, I think, is really helpful and helps guide the process of the quiz. And so all these questions here are really good at demonstrating that Morgan truly understands the depth of the experience for somebody that is in this place. And because she's demonstrating that understanding, as people are answering these questions, they are recognizing, like, okay, the person who made this quiz really does get what I'm going through. And they're just kind of quietly becoming more and more interested in both the results of the quiz and also in, yeah, I'd probably work with this person because they really get what I am thinking about. And they're even raising things that I hadn't thought about, which is really smart. So now at the end, this is the opportunity to gather an email address. This is the opportunity for people that don't want to book right away, like a consultation, but are interested. So you say, enter your email. P.S. Signing up means you're submitting your email to my healing newsletter, a resource dedicated to your journey. You're always welcome to unsubscribe at any time. Should it not align with your needs, no hard feelings. So you're giving people an option to join if they'd like to. And I'm going to join because I would like to. So I'm going to go ahead and see my results here. Your top results: passive subtype, driven subtype, rejecting subtype. So there are 3 here, and it gives me a breakdown of each one. So passive, your parent demonstrates emotional unavailability and a lack of active involvement in their children's lives. Passive parents often appear indifferent or disengaged. They may provide for basic physical needs, but are generally absent. So it gives a breakdown: your parent, your wound moving forward. And then there's an option to go and book if you're local to where Morgan is. This is excellent. I mean, I think you really get a breakdown of these. We can click into another one and see this one. So it gives a really satisfactory outcome here. It gives a great answer to the question that was posed in the quiz originally, meaning what emotionally immature parent subtype do you have? And then it goes to a book now. So you click through and you can book now, right? So I think it's excellent, really well done. And again, I just am very impressed by the phrasing here: learn about you. That's at the end of the day, like, that's what you help with your clients. And that's just great. The next one that I want to pull up here is a classic. It's an oldie but a goodie. It's from Jessica Baum, another therapist. And this one, do you want to understand your attachment style? Decode your relationship patterns by taking the attachment style quiz to find out if your attachment style is secure, anxious, fearful, or avoidant. Click the button to take the quiz, and then I click through and take it. Let's find out your attachment style. Again, decode your relationship attachment patterns by taking our attachment style quiz to find out if your attachment style is secure, anxious, fearful, or avoidant. Once you've completed the quiz, you'll have a better understanding of yourself and your relationship patterns. So again, this one is not explicitly saying learn about you, but it's saying you will learn about yourself. And it's kind of the same approach, and it's showing that she understands by the way that's phrased. So take the quiz now. I easily develop emotional ties to others. This quiz is more on the straightforward, I guess, like simple questions here. It's like you're flowing through it. There's more questions here. So I'm constantly trying to fix other people's problems, let my partner decide everything for me. I'm just kind of clicking through these so you can see what these questions look like. It's a much longer one, but each question is very straightforward, and that allows it to be more accurate, because the longer the quiz is, the more accurate you can be. You can get more and more on the correlations to the outcomes. So I'll finish clicking through this so we can see the final experience at the end of this quiz. Alrighty. So we're at the end. All done. Get your results along with a free guide on decoding your attachment style. So I'm going to go ahead and opt in again because that sounds great. And download. Okay, got the anxious attachment style. This one has a really nice video on it, so let's play that and just kind of see here. Great video of Jessica explaining the anxious attachment style. And it gives just a really nice full breakdown. Now this one, I want to kind of call out that the approach is different at the end here. So this one's going to a $7 automated product, like a small product. And that's very typical of what we see for folks that are moving over to the digital product space. They will do like a $7 to $10 small product at the end of the quiz. So you've already gotten their email address if the person chose to opt in and go to this result. Then you go to a $7 product. Then you'll upsell to more and more offers as the person indicates that they are interested. So I think that's great. We'll click through and see what that looks like. Really well done implementation here. So nice, a teachable page where I can just go ahead and buy that product, which is excellent. Alrighty, another one to look at here is from Healthy Minds NYC. It's a therapy and coaching service in New York City. And they have a really cool quiz here, which is like, is therapy or coaching right for you? Take our quiz. I think it's great because it answers the question of people who may land on the site of like, well, which one would be helpful to me? And so you can answer some quick questions here. I'm going to say life or career coaching. Does someone help you in it? No. And then you can choose the types of therapy that are interesting to you. We'll go ahead and do that. Click next. We'll click anxiety since we already talked about that at the beginning of this quiz. And finances, remote, and pay out of pocket. So this is like really a great onboarding quiz. Enter your email to receive your recommendations. I'm going to go ahead and skip that in this case. And then you can see the results are in. A master therapist might be your ideal match. Care coordinator, and then you can book a free consultation. So all in all, my takeaway on this is quizzes for therapists, the patterns that I see is that you're addressing the question that's on your customer's mind or your potential client's mind when they come across you. Like the things that they're thinking about, whether it be, I'm anxious, I'm worried about finances, I don't know, how to deal with my parents, whatever it is in each of these cases that we looked at, like how do I improve my relationship for the attachment style one? It starts with that question. Then it guides people through a process where you demonstrate through the questions that you're asking that you really understand their scenario and their situation. And then at the end, you give them a helpful set of guides or resources or breakdown, educate them. You're educating them with those results. And then since you've asked for the email address in the quiz and Interact integrates with all the email marketing softwares, you can segment the people based on which of the outcomes they got and follow up by email. Then you can also have a button in the results themselves to say, if you'd like to book, go ahead and book now. So it really is engaging to people because it addresses like what they're thinking about. They get to learn about themselves. It's helpful to people because you can educate them in a very specific way. It's automated and runs all the time. And it's accurate because you can set the logic of the quiz however you want. Like I said, we've been doing quizzes for 11 years. Feel free to click the links in the description to check out more about our software, book a demo, or you can use our assistant, which reads your website and helps come up with some of these ideas for you. A lot of people find that to be very helpful. Hopefully this video was useful to you. If you are a therapist thinking about implementing a quiz, I would recommend trying it out because it's a novel way to increase consultations, to increase your list. And we've seen therapists have a lot of success over the last decade with it.